It's great to be here, and obviously, as you can see, I'm not the Robin Duda. I'm not the CEO of Racquet, but she trusted me to be up here on the stage, obviously with Brian Dillman and with Chris Evans here to my left as well. And yeah, it's very exciting to be here. It's my second time here at the show, and obviously, Robin is apologizing. She got stuck in Atlanta with the snowstorm. She will be here later today, hopefully, and I'm sure you can all meet her as well. And yeah, just very excited to obviously introduce the two gentlemen to my left, and obviously also to get started and talk about the beating heart, how clubs are embracing racket sports and giving communities what they crave. So again, I'm Kai Boardman. I'm the Director of Court Experiences at Racquet. And as you may know, we launched Racquet last year. It is the largest all racket sports event in the world, where both consumers and businesses come together in Miami. Once a year, we're going to have it again this year, March 22nd to March 24th at the Miami Beach Convention Center, along with all America's Racket Week, along with the Miami Open, etc. And we're very excited to also be launching the Club Summit in lots of partnerships with some of the gentlemen sitting right next to us, right here. And yeah, I would love to dive deeper into the discussion, but before we do so, I would love to get started with the young gentleman all the way to the left, Mr. Brian Dillman. He's the CEO of RSPA.
Nice to be here. Thank you very much.
Glad to be here once again. Chris Evans, to my very left, also a very young gentleman, and he's the managing director of the Quail Creek Country Club.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. Happy to be here.
All right, let's dive into it. Let's start off the discussion. How are country clubs, racket sports evolving with the times these days? What do you think, Chris?
They're exploding. Our current program, well, we're big and heavy into pickleball and tennis. We have 9 tennis courts, hard-true tennis courts, 6 pickleball courts. And our pickleball program is up, well, since 2021, almost 75%, right? So
wow.
It's just jamming. Tennis, almost 20, 19 to be exact, 19 and 74 to be exact. But yeah, that whole program is just exploding.
That's amazing. Congratulations to hear that. And obviously, yeah, would love to hear more about the growth of racket sports and what you're planning to do so. And obviously, we're witnessing the multi-racket sports model. Why do you think that is? How common is the multi-racket sports model becoming?
The common multi-sports, very common. I mean, if we have, let me see, I think it's 20% of our tennis players, or no, of our pickleball players are playing both, and 75%, am I correct, of our tennis players are converting to pickleball and playing
wow,
both.
75%. I mean,
Yes.
that's
and
a
how
number.
how many golfers are coming over to play pickleball?
We have 474 total members in racket sports, and we have 580 full golf members and 175 social members. So when you do the math,
Yeah, it's
Quite a
a
few.
good good number.
No doubt.
Wow, that's amazing. And when did you add the pickleball courts? It was a couple years back?
2021. Yeah.
That's amazing. Did you acknowledge, like, obviously more players, getting onto the pickleball and more members also coming to the club because of pickleball?
You know, it seems to be the common question when we're interviewing a prospective member is about pickleball. And I almost saying, I mean, in the last even month or two, we've had more prospective members asking if they can try the pickleball course more than the golf courses.
Wow.
So what did
They
that
want
tell
to
you
try the pickleball courts?
They do. They say, hey, before we come, can I get out there and I can play? We had one prospective member come out for one of our pro events and hang out with the crew. But yeah, we're just kind of checking out that scene before they commit.
But Chris, you started in food and beverage. Then you became a PGA certified golf professional and did that for a career's worth.
Yep.
And now you're in club management.
Yep.
So just talk about the transition there. And now that you're a general manager or managing director, how do you see the entire club ecosystem that you're in working together and supporting each other. And because in many cases, clubs, golf is on one side and rackets on the other, and the two probably never meet.
Well, that's a great topic, and I can hit on that one quite a bit. So one thing that's unique is for, I would say, all the departments to kind of be cohesive and work together. The thing that we have working for us at Quail Creek is that we have what's called a sports center, where we have racket sports, golf, fitness, and spa all encompassed in the same area. So it's the same shop. The cooler part is the same offices.
Oh, wow.
So in the back room, the storeroom, the director of golf, unfortunately, has to sit next to our director of court sports. And then we, even the fitness director had an office back there as well at one time. But everybody's one team, one together. They're talking all the time, and it just makes everybody, more in unison. So that works out great.
But growing up in the golf space, did you not acknowledge, but did you see racket sports as growing, or was that really never in your
way off my radar.
Okay.
Way off my radar. Going back to where I started in food and beverage was after college, more to support myself, but it got me into the club side.
Right.
Jumped into golf, and I was in golf for 23 years before it just kind of worked out for me to now take the seat as the more in the managing director role.
I love it.
Yeah, and obviously food and beverage and, pickleball and all of the above, golf, it's all about being social, right? And we're just sitting here, obviously, it's the PGA Golf Show, but how amazing it is to also have, all racket sports here. So question to the audience here, how many of you do play pickleball, tennis, or other racket sports? Please raise your hands. So pretty much everyone in the audience does, including myself,
Exactly.
obviously.
Yeah.
And it is amazing to see. And what is all the threat that we're seeing, with pickleball and other racket sports, paddle obviously as well, what is the threat towards tennis? What is the bigger picture? Is it good for racket sports as whole? Do we see it as a threat? I mean, we've been talking about it, and obviously we watch it and we play it, but do we see it as a threat towards tennis?
It shouldn't be a threat. Pickleball should be the entry barrier to all racket sports. It's easy to play, it's quick to pick up, it's social, it's fun, it makes people smile, it gets golfers over to the tennis side, it gets tennis players to be more social with everybody. Pickleball they just announced numbers, and I'm sorry, SFIA, but the growth in pickleball this past year in 2024 is up to like 19 million players, and tennis is at 25 million players. So they're almost the same size, but in my opinion, pickleball should be double. And the great thing about pickleball is it's active, it's getting people off the couch, and it's getting people, it's the socialization and it's the activity that is a great alternative. And then I think the nice thing from a racket sports perspective is then you trade up. You trade up into tennis, you trade up into padel, because that's how you build more skills. But the great thing about pickle, I think, is you're learning hand-eye coordination and movement, which are the two toughest things to do when you're teaching and learning tennis. And as a tennis player, if I'd have started with pickle or something else where you can work on that hand-eye first and progress, that to me is a great pathway. And again, go into tennis, go into padel, go into other racket sports. But I think pickle is at the bottom of the pyramid. It's for everyone, and then as you trade up, you learn more skills and you develop, more court sense, and then you can choose from there.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, and obviously I also see people then will go back to playing pickleball. You look at people like Ivan Lendl, Andre Agassi, Steffi Graf. You can name so many other players that retired, younger players as well, and they go back and they love tennis. They would do all over again with tennis. But pickleball is just, it's a different social sport and everyone can do it. It's easier. It gets you off the couch, as you said.
But I think what you're seeing at the club, in the club level, is just becoming a normal part of the ecosystem. Whether it's a pickle mixer on one day or a tennis mixer or a golf event, this is just part of your amenities. And I think that's the way in the club world you think about what other amenities am I going to offer, either to retain my membership or to differentiate if you're having people, as you said, people are coming to try out the pickleball courts. That's something that you would have never predicted 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's more of, can I play around first before I write the check?
Correct. Yeah, one thing that's unique to our place is our rackets programs. Yeah. Pretty much off the hook. One thing that we do to bring the two together is we have golf and racket sports doing events together. So we have one idea that our guys have come up with is we have a grass lawn that they're talking about doing kind of like a drive, chip, and court sports event.
Oh, I love it.
Together,
I love it.
Kind of bring
Wow,
golf
that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
and rackets together.
When is that happening?
This
When's
year,
that
this
happening?
season. Yeah, come
I
on
want to be
by.
part of that.
Come check it
Make
out.
sure you invite us.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I would like to add there, and obviously, I do spend, Brian, you know that as well, with my background. I played a little bit on the tour. I'm originally from Germany and moved to the US because of tennis. Without tennis, I wouldn't be sitting here. And I do spend also still time, quite a good amount of time with professional players, female, male. And we do have these discussions because, the pickleball tour, they approach them, and you can look at the average number for a female player on the pickleball side. They make close to a couple $100,000, and it's much easier for them to do so than on the tennis side. So obviously, it's a valid point talking about a threat from that angle. But again, I think we all do agree. You get out of the house, you play pickleball, you get more social. It's amazing. So I would like to ask, and from your perspective, Brian, what is the long-time prediction for tennis if you're looking forward 20 years?
Tennis is also having a moment right now. I mean, there's never been more activity. Tennis courts are where you have great professionals running programs and you have great programming. Tennis courts are full. And we were just talking earlier today, here in Orlando, there are 3,000 women that play league tennis on Wednesday mornings. You touch their courts, you're dead. I mean, so there are so many there's so many places around the country where tennis is absolutely off the charts. So
3,000.
3,000 per, and that's, I mean, Atlanta has 100,000. Dallas has, I mean, each major city has this. So what I think people are missing is it's not an either or, and it shouldn't be an either or. And I think that's, when there's a threat and there's competition, as opposed to, most people today look left and right. What are they doing? What are they doing? As opposed to having a very clear, specific path of growth and a strategy for, if I was tennis and I was the commissioner of just tennis, you need to have a clear, direct strategy of what you're going to do to grow tennis, which is make it fun, make it easy, make it quick, make it social. Same thing with pickleball. If I were pickleball, I would say, make sure you have your own facilities. Stop competing and stop, build your own, make your own programming, build your own revenue source, because I think that's something that pickleball outside of the club model needs to really work on. But each sport needs to have their own strategy, and then, the great thing about clubs is when they come together, then they can find ways to work together. But standalone, as they do standalone, they're all doing great. So I think tennis needs to just focus on its own strategy for growth and stop worrying about what's happening in other sports.
Right. And maybe this question goes towards, both of you, obviously, but along those lines, how important is the level of pro at a club? At the pro level, tennis is popular as ever. What about pickleball or even paddle, right? I think, Chris, you can answer that question the best.
That's super important. I can tell you that the level of pro, we're fortunate to have our club is known for a very strong tennis program. We're known for a tennis club. We have 7 team members in courts, 4 are instructors, 1 alone just for pickleball, and they're all awesome. I mean, so and the members they really just are attracted to that. So,
I think one of the things that at the Racket Sports Professionals Association we're trying to do is elevate every one of our professionals to be at the level that Jose is, because when you're running a rackets program at a club like this, you're in the top 0.01% of the business. So we need people like him to train and teach and others, but we have continuing education programs and professional development programs that help you get there in those facilities and in those programs. But without that, and without energy, and that goes for any sport, without that kind of energy in any facility, you're not going to grow anything. So the professional is key to that, because that's the first face you see when you get there. That's who the members are going to remember. It's the whole experience.
Yeah, it's all about the service. Human connection right there.
And a vibrant personality, right? I mean, I was at a club before where, I would sit next to rackets and like, yeah, it was kind of off the radar for me. But now that I'm sitting right next to the one that I currently am, I'm all in. I want to know more and learn more. So,
yeah, makes sense. Let's move on. Commercially, how can clubs harness growth? What are brands looking at?
What are brands looking at?
Yeah, what are brands looking at? Tennis still, or taking pickleball and paddle more seriously as commercial or sponsorship opportunity? What are brands looking at?
I think there's still a business case to be proven for standalone franchises in pickle and padel. I think integrated with multiple facilities, you've already got a customer base. You can help that customer base migrate amongst the racket sports. But I think it's the standalones that need to figure out their membership model, their revenue model, to make sure that they're viable long term. And I think if they are viable long term, that is a great sign for the entire racket sports industry, not only just in the United States, but globally. Because then you've got choices, and I think that's what consumers want. Consumers want choice. And you may play pickle one season because of a group of people or a program, and you might decide the next season, hey, I'm going to pick up padel because they've got something on Tuesday nights, and that's the night I'm available. So I think it's that flexibility, the mindset of flexibility, but also choice. So if you see any new facility being built around the country now, there are at least 2, if not 3, racket sports included in that.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, Chris, you know that we have to keep on adding all these services and courts, whatever their members asking for at the end of the day, right? So yeah, and obviously, Brian, talking about RSPA, right? You have the agreement with a paddle court company as well, taking on paddle coaches certification, obviously doing the whole rebranding from tennis to all racket sports. I mean, it's a very, very big deal, very big move, obviously. And you must believe in the future of paddle in the US as well. And obviously, you must see it as part of the racket sports family.
We looked at, our association has been around for 97 years. And while tennis has always been the core of what we've done and will continue to be, we would be really blind if we didn't look and see what the landscape of the future looked like. And so I've had conversations actually with a colleague, Nelson, about what the future racket sports facility looks like. And that is, it is multiple racket sports, number one. It's a social center. So, like Starbucks is your third place. This could certainly be a third place. But it's also that it's physical. It's that, racket sports, you live 9 years longer by playing racket sports. You stay physically fit. You can age better. You're also sticky. You're a stickier member for any facility the more you play and the longer you age. So all of that together is showing that, and the statistics prove out, all sports are growing right now. And I think all sports are growing because you have energy at clubs, you have energy at other facilities, you have venture capital money, you've got private equity money, all coming into these sports trying to capitalize on the popularity and the growth.
Yeah, that's a great point. And obviously, I think we all love to see that because at the end of the day, you talk to tennis players, you talk to paddle players, pickleball players. I think we all play along those lines. We play everything. We would lie to us if we don't. I mean, especially tennis players, we love all of the above.
Right.
And obviously, with golf now, I mean, how many of you play golf and pickleball the same week? I'm sure there's a couple of you out there that do so. So yeah, it's fantastic to see. And talking about golf and obviously country clubs, we have 158 country clubs comprising 700 tennis courts. Again, 158 country clubs comprising 700 tennis courts, 200 pickleball courts, 2 paddle courts, the perfect microcosm of these 3 racket sports in North America. Is that number going to change?
It's got to go up, right? It's not enough, I would think.
Well, there's only 450 or 500 padel courts in the United States right now, so we know that's going to grow. I mean, that's a
I think that number can change tomorrow already with the permits and everything. And obviously, you all agree it's going to keep on growing. You say everywhere in the United States. Does it depend on the state? I mean, obviously Florida is a bit different too.
I can tell you in my experience and from the colleagues that I speak with, everybody's struggling for more. They need more tennis courts. They need more pickleball courts. They're challenged with where to put them because, you know, we're just saturated with clubs.
Space.
We have 185 clubs in 2 counties, right? And everybody seems to be we're becoming landlocked. So it's where do we put these courts? But we need more.
Chris, do you think, as looking at the club industry through the CMAA, and when you talk to your peers at your level, do you think racket sports is rising on their radar? And if so, what does that mean from a capital improvement and investment standpoint?
Great question. Absolutely, it's rising, and we need to do more and more in our capital plans to fund those. You know what I mean? Just the different amenities in the court sports areas, whether that, you know, means introducing a food and beverage option, a social area, and the growth for those different programs. Right now we have 2 with tennis and pickleball. We're looking to add that 3rd.
There we go.
Talking about it anyway. Right. So.
And in that, where can we help as a trade association? How can we help the club managers recognize that opportunity, help them with statistics, they need data, or like where can we help serve that need or that desire?
Having the proper data is huge.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
When we go to the table, we go to our board saying, here, we want X amount of dollars to add. They want to know why. Right. And they want to know what everybody else is doing. Right. And, you know, I'm always to say, okay, well, how do we be better than everybody else?
Right.
But, data. Having data and good benchmarking from like clubs.
Yep. Okay.
Right.
Nice. And my question would be to you also, Chris. What are your members demanding? Obviously, they have golf, beautiful golf. They have tennis. They have clay courts. They have pickleball. Do they demand a hard court tennis court? Do they demand? I mean, you even see now clay pickleball, but do they demand maybe some squash, maybe some paddle, maybe something like that, or what are they demanding? Your members.
They're, like I said, I think it's the answer to that's more.
More of everything.
More.
Yeah.
Like pickleball. I mean, well, we have 6 courts between 9 and 11 on pretty much any given day. It's hard to find a court. So more pickleball. You know, tennis courts are filled too, and then, you know, this padel topic keeps coming up. So.
So you've gone, Chris.
Awesome.
You've gone through the PGA process.
Yes.
You've gone through almost all of the CMAA process.
Correct.
What are your key takeaways from both of those associations, who are great on education, great on skills, great on that, but what are some big takeaways having crossed both of those? And then we're going to get you into the rackets area too, but what have you learned? Like, what are some big takeaways from there?
You know, for me, it's all about continuous growth.
Okay.
Networking. You know, I mean, the PGA was great. I mean, I'm still a PGA member and continue to learn and grow. And with the PGA, I love golf. I grew up with it. I've been around it my whole life. The CMAA does a great job really allowing you to take that proverbial 30,000-foot view down of the whole entire club operations. I would recommend that for every professional, and no matter what department you're in. That way you don't get, blind-eyed.
Yep.
Blinders on in your own place. So my big takeaway is just continuous growth, networking, and recommending that for all professionals.
One of the things we struggle with, I think, in our industry is showing professionals what a career looks like or what a career path could be. You know, most of our professionals fall into being a tennis pro. They don't necessarily choose it all the time. I see head nods, and that includes me. But there are careers here. There are multi-million-dollar budgets to run. There's big money to earn. How do we do a better job, or what did you maybe learn from the CMAA and PGA that rackets could help implement to show that a better job of doing that, bringing people into this as a career? Well,
we're going into how do you want to get into a certain part of the industry in a career, but as a professional, I mean, if you're going to get into racket sports, I think you want to get into racket sports, and you're going to go through and do what we need to do that. Where when I was in golf, I was in food and beverage. One thing that I kept doing was, I would say every 5 years you ask that question, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Right.
And every 5 years the answer would change, right?
Yep.
So the more you learn, the more you grow, the more you can kind of grow as that professional.
Yeah, I think that continuous learning mindset is super important for every industry, but especially in ours where, most people started in tennis and now they're adding pickle, they're adding padel, or they're adding some more general management, or they're adding more skills. Are there, and I'm going to go back to this, when you're looking to hire people, what are those skills that are important to you as well?
Well, that's funny. That's a good one. The number one thing I look for is if you care, and you show me that you care, then we're going to want you on the team, because we can move mountains with that.
Yep.
However, but going to racket sports, I think you need to be well-rounded now, right? You can't just be tennis, pickleball, padel. You need to look to try to grow in all areas, I would say.
And I think that's our contention too, and I think that's a message that just needs to keep being repeated and repeated. There's and I think when you look at it, when we just looked at tennis, it's about a $2.5 to $3 billion sport. You add every other racket sport, it doubles the entire market. So not only is it good, not only for career opportunity, but it's double the size and in real potential. So I think that's another message that needs to get out as well. Is the data is supporting big growth in this category as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think it's super important to be friendly with all the racket sports. I mean, that's obviously why, with Racquet X, last year we launched this, and you see more and more clubs obviously adding more racket sports to it. We just have to fulfill the needs of our members, but also fulfill the needs of us. And I think there's no reason to be friendly among us, but also to be friendly with all the sports around us. Because at the end of the day, we all have the same goal. We want to make sure that people are healthy, happy, and obviously with more courts, we can do so. So yeah, that's fantastic to hear. And another question I have for you, Brian, regarding RSPA. Do you have any data, insights, and research? What you're seeing within tennis, pickle, paddle growth, in terms of growth in general? Wasn't tennis participation growth primarily due to COVID, 20 million in 2020 to 23.4 million in 2023? And how are you viewing this other racket sports along those lines in the next few years?
So tennis is as I said, it continues to be on a growth trajectory. It's now over 25 million players. But more importantly, it's the core player. The core player is the player that plays 8 to 12 times a year. That's who really matters, to this group. That matters to retail. That matters to professionals and lessons and programs. And that number is also growing. So it wasn't just COVID. Those numbers continue to grow, and I would attribute that a lot to the programming and the professionals that are out on the courts every day, bringing people in and keeping them engaged. The same thing will happen in every other sport, with the same personalities, bringing people in and having them programmed and having them excited about coming to whatever courts they are. And without that, it's not a build it and they'll come. That doesn't exist. It might exist a little bit for pickleball, but ultimately you're going to flatten out unless you keep people active and programmed. But we can ask Jose right here. What things have kept people engaged at your facility? What gets them excited? What gets them motivated to keep signing up year after year for new programs?
It's because of him.
I was expecting this.
You think you're going to get away with that?
Me neither, by the way.
It's like what Chris was touching on. It's more, right? Like more different things, right? Like trips, going somewhere else, taking them to Wimbledon.
Talk about your trip.
Yeah, we took our members to Wimbledon this year, this past year. We're going to the French Open this year. Trying to engage them. We take them every year to the Miami Open. Chris and I are planning a trip to Cherokee Country Club in Atlanta. Always trying to do new things for the membership, because we don't want them bored, right? We want to continue to build on it.
I mean, I want to be part of that club.
Well, it's a great program. And Jose's we're working on kind of almost like a reciprocity type program where we'll bring members up to Cherokee. They'll play, do dinner, and they come down to Quail Creek.
I mean, at the end,
thing. We need to experience
that's amazing service.
Each other, right?
Amazing service.
What can we do that sets us apart, and what can we do that other clubs aren't? And when you're bringing members to Wimbledon, You know, you're bringing golf members to Europe, you know, those types of things. You're going to really forge that relationship with your members that they're with you forever after that point.
And you just recently started doing that, or you've been doing that for quite some time? I'm asking that because actually with pickleball, you see a lot of travels along, right? You do a pickleball, Mallorca, wherever you go, right? And obviously it's all about getting social with the club, with the members, networking, getting together.
Yeah, we've done it, you know, Quail Creek's been doing it for a couple years now. My experiences, I've done it for a while on the golf, when I was on the golf side of things, but we need to grow that. I mean, we're talking about doing it, well, we are doing it now in court sports. We're continuing to do it in golf. Like our guys are going to be doing a safari down in Africa in a year or so with golf.
Are you kidding?
But, you know,
You
food
can't
and
hide
beverage
money.
should be doing it too. Why, you know, why isn't F&B
I'm
going
moving to
Napa
Naples,
doing
by the
wine?
way.
Exactly. We're all
Right.
moving to Naples.
But then the next step is kind of like they're doing events together. How do they travel together? So continuing to get outside the box and do things differently.
And I
to
think
meet
what
those
I would
members'
add,
needs.
that's such great innovation, and I think part of it, Kai, you asked earlier, what are your members asking for? But this is something that your members don't ask for, and it's that.
And I'm sure they love
surprise.
it.
And it's that you know more than your members, or you have their best interests at heart, and that hits, I think, so much closer to home.
Yeah, you're right. They're not asking for it. It's coming from the innovation and the brains of the professionals and wanting to really build that relationship and provide that service.
And I think that's the other, back to the continuous learning, that's where professionals like in both rackets and golf can help others and just think innovative and what else can we do? All it takes is a phone call. Like he calls one of his peers that he met through the RSPA in Atlanta, hey, do you want to do a club swap? Done. I mean, that's what is great about the networking, and I'm sure you've seen that in the PGA. I mean, the golf world has done travel for years in a really, really
Right.
important
Yep.
way. And I think that's where rackets, maybe you guys sitting next to each other, there's some osmosis, going on that help. But I mean, those are things that we as rackets should learn from the golf industry. What do they do really well, and how do we adapt that as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, traveling and obviously seeing new locations and then having fun as well with the right group of people and going out there and being active. I mean, that's the right method. I absolutely do agree, and I think it's amazing that we're all so friendly. And obviously, I do hope that we're going to be out on the pickleball court after this session here because, my feet are itching. My feet are itching. Yeah.
Well,
Chris, you play pickleball and
let's
tennis?
go.
Or? Okay.
I might not look like I know what I'm doing because I'm much more established in golf and the rest of it, but I'll get out there with you.
You played tennis in the past?
Not much, no.
Golf?
Not much. Yeah, primarily.
are there other things, Chris, that rackets could learn from golf in how they bring communities together? I think that, whether it's not a regular, I mean, some of it's a regular foursome. The great thing about golf is every course is different. The boring thing about racket sports, every court's the same. We're same lines, maybe a different surface, but we're not worried about undulation and distance. So what
we
other
only
things
have
learning from?
only miss bounces on the clay court. That's all we have.
Learning from golf, I don't know. That's a tough one. They're different where, the time constraints are a lot different. I'd almost reverse that and say what can golf maybe learn from rackets, right? How they're quicker. It's more,
Faster formats,
It's more
maybe.
faster formats, more exercise. Obviously golf fitness is a huge thing now, but, the two of them working together to kind of just bounce ideas off each other to learn from each other is huge. But, from golf, looking at all of their programs, golf does, they get out there, they do some like fun, unique, different types of events where they're doing, these different 9 and dine events that are more social. Then they check all the boxes from very serious to social. Look at those programs, and then golf should look at racket sports too.
Do you consider off-course golf real golf? Because I know that's been a big driver in the growth of the sport. And how have you looked at that? And because I think what we see is in our world is pickleball is kind of that off-court stuff that has led people into tennis.
Absolutely, it's not your round of golf where you're shooting a score, but yes, it's real golf because let's face it, especially with the younger, demographic, the time constraint for a working family really isn't there to jump out there and spend 4.5 hours on the weekend when you have a family.
Right.
So getting out there with the kids, going up to Topgolf and doing fun things like that, for sure, it's real.
Yeah, and obviously you see pop stroke now as well. I mean, I feel like this is amazing. We're all adapting. I mean, obviously, we have to keep on adapting, right? We have pickleball courts right here, pop stroke, all of the above. You're adding pickleball courts, maybe paddle, I don't know, squash, I don't know what your members are asking for. But at the end of the day, that's important that we do listen to ourselves, but to the people around us, and that we serve for them, obviously, at the end of the day, too.
Right.
Where do you learn other new things? Like, where are you meeting with peers I mean, I know you're involved in CMAA Florida, but where is this innovation coming from, or where do you look for it?
You're getting out there and stealing everybody else's ideas.
Yeah, I love it.
Right, getting out at other clubs, seeing what they're doing, and we find one thing they like and implement it into our own programs. I think, that's...
And you're the hero.
Right.
Or the genius.
Thank you for
yes,
that.
Exactly.
And what about the young ones? What about the kids? I work with a lot of academies also down here in South Florida, and obviously, golf is still not so interesting to them. And now actually you see more and more, obviously, clubs and academies now as well offering pickleball clinics for youth, afternoon program and all of that. Do you see a lot of kids out on the pickleball court?
We have a huge kids program at the club on golf and racket sports, and I might throw the mic back in Jose's hands over here because he's running a huge kids program. Jose, we have a lot of kids at the club, which is unique for Naples, Florida. You're not seeing that much in Naples, Florida, but at Quail Creek we do. But Jose's summer programs, it's not just, he does everything. He brings them in, they're doing pickleball, they're doing tennis, they're taking cooking classes, they're getting on a golf course, they're going into the gym and doing fitness. So he's doing all of it with the kids. But yeah, our club does have quite a bit with juniors. We even do kids' nights up in a room that's not being used for food and beverage and movie nights, etc.
Amazing. And do you see that as a threat? I mean, going back to our discussion, what we had, do you see that as a threat, having the kids on the pickleball court instead of the tennis? I mean, because, we can get into the discussions. I mean, obviously, there's no real scholarship on the tennis side. So, I run into some parents and they're like, well, I don't want to have my kid playing on the pickleball court because there's no scholarship later on. Is that something you hear out on the
I'm not hearing
side?
much of that, no. And I don't think it's a threat. I just think it leads to that one thing we hit on before is we need more, right? Because they want it too.
100%.
I think it's only a threat if you're not confident you're not running a program that's successful. And that's the magic of not only what the PGA does, what the RSPA does, what the CMAA does. It helps you build confidence in running your own stuff. But I love the idea of stealing. But when you have a thriving program, it's thriving because you're engaged, you care, and you show people you care. So the threat, I think, is more about the inactivity, the non-participation, than it is what you participate in. I mean, if you're a full-service club like Quail Creek, you're offering everything, and frankly, you probably don't care what they do as long as they're there doing something. So right. I wonder if the threat is more of, if you're not doing something well enough, maybe that's, look inward first before you start looking at others.
I totally agree.
Yeah, makes sense. And I mean, obviously, there's a reason why all the brands out there, I mean, even, you see a lot of golf brands here. They do pickleball apparel, they do tennis apparel, they do golf apparel, everything. It's because we all have to adapt. I mean, brands are adapting, right? RSPA, All Racket Sports, Racquet X.
We're talking about this at the PGA
yes,
Show.
Exactly. I think that's
at the
most
PGA Show.
So
look where we are right
irony.
now. Look at
yes.
this conversation. Look at your whole setup over there.
Yeah.
It's getting bigger every year.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep. And I think when it was just tennis at a trade show or trying to have its own trade show, you didn't get the participation and the excitement and the energy from it. But if you add some other sports along with it, then again your pie grows, your opportunity grows, and your footprint grows. And I think that's really what we're seeing here is this footprint is indicative of what the market's doing, which is meaning it's growing, which is why I think golf and the PGA is paying attention.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all about being active. And obviously, you have to adapt. I mean, I remember when Robin approached me, with Racquet X and all of the above, we said right away, there's no way we're just doing a regular trade show, right? It's just the same thing with all the country clubs. You don't just want to run a country club. You want to be different than others, and that's what it is about, that you add a service, you add all of those things throughout the line. So I think it's very, very important that we all read the message the right way.
Any questions? Anybody like to ask? I think we just have a few minutes left.
Any questions we have? Guys, don't be shy.
Come on. I'll ask Chris another question while we're waiting. Talk about culture. Talk about culture at Quail Creek. Was it there? Did you have to help build it? And what key things have worked for you to help build that culture?
Well, culture, that starts with the culture of the club. We're deep in tradition for Naples, Florida, right? People will literally in this room laugh at me when I say we're deep in tradition.
In Naples.
In Naples. What does that mean? We're a club that was established in 1981. That's deep in culture in Naples, right? You don't see that a lot. So our club, we have had that established culture with the members, and it has a certain intimate type of feel, and that's really, we have to stay true to that. So I really had to adopt that because it was different.
Okay.
For where I came, it took me a while just to, when I first came in, and I can tell you with learning culture is number one and what's most important. Learning that true club culture. It probably took me a good year before I could really put my arms around it. When you first come in, you're used to doing things a certain way, and then all of a sudden you get there and you're looking like, why is it like this? What are they thinking?
Right.
And there's usually a reason. Mm-hmm. So, depending on where you're at, you have to try to just adapt to that.
And you started in the mindset of hospitality, starting in food and beverage. Where do you see the hospitality world moving into the future? Are there when you post for jobs, are there lots of people interested? Are there not a lot of people? I mean, where are you in the employment? How do you see careers in employment?
We're fortunate to see quite a bit of action.
Okay.
A lot of people wanting to jump in it. But again, let's go backtrack to your culture. If you provide the proper culture, now we're looking on the associate side of things. They're going to be attracted to coming there, especially if you can provide a culture of learning and growing.
Right.
And not just being that employee that's stuck behind the counter in the golf shop or sitting behind a desk at Rackets. Get them out there to experience everything.
Right. And when you are looking at investing in your team, this is where I'm going to help. Do you have a percentage you invest? Is it Jose comes to you and the golf side camera comes to you and says, here's what we need every year for education, continuing education, improvement, et cetera? Or is that something that you've got in your mind, it's going to be 5%, 10%, or how does that work?
Well, I think coming from me personally, I'm so passionate about it.
Yep.
That I want to provide the resources to professionals, to whatever they need. We get together every year. We have our annual budget conversations, and we talk about, goals and objectives. First of all, making sure they have the resources for the proper travel, education.
Right.
And then part of their goals and their performance review every year is something that they have done to better themselves with an education, right?
Yeah, that's great.
So we want to see that all the way through.
Where did you learn that? How did that become part of your DNA?
I don't know. I just think through years of experience, doing different things, working for all sorts of different types of leaders,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
You learn
probably
the good,
probably
the bad.
Good and bad. Yeah,
correct.
Exactly
You
right.
learn just as much from the bad as the good.
You do.
We have a question over here in the audience. Why don't you
Hi.
go ahead?
Katie Benson from Head Pickleball.
Nice to meet you.
Hi.
Yeah, nice to meet you. So as a racket sports company, we see it's sort of like a long-standing tradition or an ingrained culture almost among tennis instructors and coaches as something that we can reach at the grassroots level in it's very organized. And I'm curious if you see sort of a path to the future for the culture or the institution almost of pickleball coaches being similar, because I feel like right now, do you have pickleball coaches at your?
We do. Yeah, we have one that just, like I said, we have 4 that teach, and you're teaching both.
Yeah, sorry,
tennis,
I came in late.
tennis and pickleball. We have one specifically for pickleball.
And so on a maybe for you, Brian, on a larger scale, do you see it becoming as established as when our tennis team comes to us and says, the way that we talk about coaches is a very established, we have people that have been coaches under our brand for years and years.
Right.
And we're trying to reach pickleball coaches, and it's sort of, they don't necessarily exist in the same established manner. Do you see that happening in clubs, and not just country clubs, but also tennis and pickleball
facilities?
Clubs? Yep.
What I see is it's different. It's different from tennis. Tennis is a teaching and a learning sport. Padel is a teaching and a learning sport. Pickleball is an activity sport. Pickleball is a play sport. You play first, you learn a little bit, then you play, then you learn a little bit. So while it's not the teaching, the group lessons, I think what people do in pickleball, they learn first, then they go play, and then they come back and refine. So what that means is the pickleball professional has to be more play and event oriented than they do lesson oriented. And that's a different mindset for a club as well, or for a facility, because they're used to, you know, it's $70 an hour, you pay this, you do the, and that's been the norm in racket sports. And pickle is kind of upsetting that a little bit because it's more play-based and more event-based. But running a single-day tournament, running a mixer, running events is how pickleball is succeeding and winning right now. So, but somebody like Jose that started in tennis, which most directors have, they've got to adapt in how they build and train their staff so that they are knowledgeable about the event side, the activation side, as well as the teaching side, which is not as prevalent. So you have to figure out a way to make money in both.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I think we have another question over here on the left, right? Yep.
Hi, I'm Joe with Racquet X. Thank you so much for everything. It's been very interesting and engaging conversation so far. My question to you is, how do you see the growth of AI and different technologies disrupting or helping the growth of racket sports?
You want to take that one?
Not really.
It's a nice one. Huh?
Well, I don't know. I mean, AI is taking over the world, right? I mean, but you got to embrace it and use it to your benefit, I think. You know, a lot of the stuff that we're using AI for is more administrative stuff and et cetera. But as far as, you know, Jose, maybe you have some input there.
I mean, at the end, it makes your life easier.
It
Writing
does.
emails, administrative
Correct.
stuff. But also, I mean, at Racquet X, you're going to see much more tech now that is using AI.
So you're seeing AI developing the tech.
More and more, yes.
That's where I see AI. I see AI as a tool to help coaches, clubs,
100%.
organize, run programs, and make it more seamless for the member experience. Yep. I don't ever see replacing the personal touch and the personal experience of learning any activity or sport.
I think that's the part that everybody needs to be careful of, right? It
Exactly.
still has to have that member touch.
Right. You have something, Scott?
All right, over here.
Okay. Thanks.
All right, anyone else? Yeah,
I think we're
obviously it was a great pleasure to be here
excellent.
with Brian
Likewise,
and
I
Chris
enjoyed it
and
too, thank you.
obviously all of you. I'm sure we're gonna go out on the pickleball court now, and then I'm sure. I mean, Brian, obviously one of our key partners of Racquet X. I'm sure Chris is gonna be at Racquet X as well. Mark your calendars. It's March 22nd to March 24th. It's during America's Racquet Week. We have the premier paddle next door. We have obviously Miami Open happening as well at the same time. It's just a huge festival. We encourage everyone to be there. And obviously Club Summit is happening as well. It's going to be the second year, March 22nd to March 24th. Go to theracquetx.com, get your tickets. Let me know any questions afterwards as well. And obviously, Brian, we'll see you latest there.
You got it.
We're going to see you on the pickleball court now. Chris, I know I'm going to be joining your club now after this discussion. I'm sure others as well. And yeah, appreciate all of you for being here. And I'm sure you're going to see Robin very soon as well.
I hope so.
So thank you for being here. Thank you for taking your time. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you,
very
guys. Thanks, Chris.
appreciative. And thank you, Chris, as well.
Thank you.